Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
The Louisiana tourism industry is a critically important aspect of Louisiana's economy, creating thousands of jobs, millions of tax dollars, and billions in economic impact. The Lieutenant Governor's office in Louisiana is responsible for oversight of the tourism industry. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser joins us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Passion, experience, safety. These are what set Arkell Constructors apart as a premier general contractor. At Arkell Constructors, our goal is to exceed our clients' expectations, whether it's commercial, industrial, or facility maintenance. We have the team and processes in place to provide a solution for you. To us, every project is a resume for our future. Arkell Constructors, the solution for your next building project. Promoting workplace safety and family wellness. That's our motto at Gulf Coast Occupational Medicine. The Gulf Coast staff is made up of some of the most knowledgeable and hardest working medical professionals in Louisiana. We care about your safety and your bottom line. With 8 convenient locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, our services include injury management, physical exams, medical surveillance, and substance abuse testing. For more information, visit us on the web at gcombr.info and ride the wave to safety.
It might be one of the most efficient, most effective methods of communications we've ever used.
Since 1919, we've designed and constructed hundreds of industrial plants, roads, ships, dams, and executed some of the most complex jobs in the world. In fact, our quality and dependability are legendary. Today, the legend continues as Brown & Root delivers engineering, construction, maintenance, and industrial specialty services throughout the U.S. and the world from our headquarters here in Louisiana. We are Brown & Root.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to be joined by the state's Lieutenant Governor, Billy Nungesser. Governor, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Glad you are. Pretty colorful career in Louisiana politics, been involved for a long time. President of Plaquemines Parish. Nungesser is a famous political name in this state. Talk a little bit about your background and the path that eventually led you to run for Lieutenant Governor.
Well, I sold my business, retired down in Plaquemines Parish on a ranch, and me and my wife had a riding center for disabled children. We took children out of wheelchair, placed on the back of the horse. Greatest thing I've ever done with my life. I saw miracles happen. And with Katrina approaching, we had nowhere to bring those horses. We brought them over to the house, rode out the storm, rescued people for days, animals for months, and I never saw a politician. So I got angry enough to run for parish president. And then I saw if you really care about people, politics is easy. You just do the right thing always and stand up for what's right. And then after the BP oil spill, decided to run for lieutenant governor, unsuccessfully the first time, and then winning. And I truly have the best job in the world.
I want to talk about that job because it really is a unique position in Louisiana government and Louisiana politics. So talk a little bit about the constitutional mission of the lieutenant governor.
Well, I'm over the state tourism office, parks, museums, the library system, and cultural recreation. It's such a big part of the quality of life. It is economic development, and it works hand in hand. And as we move around the state and see so many opportunities for growth in all of those areas, I'm excited about the future, even with the budget situation in Baton Rouge. We've got some great team members and some great ideas to move forward, even past the budget problems, to grow all of those areas under the Lieutenant Governor.
I really want to focus on the tourism industry in our state, and we'll get into that a little bit more. because it really is an important aspect of our economy. But talk about a day in the life of the Lieutenant Governor. Day to day, what do you do?
Well, we start the morning early, usually around the state. Somewhere I'm speaking or meeting with a group. Today I'll host a luncheon with 3 parish elected officials at my apartment here to talk about the legislative session and some of the challenges. But I've given 180 speeches in my first year around the state. I'm honored that people want me to come and share with them our plans, our thoughts, and also I'm learning so much. Those mayors, those tourism folks that have a love and passion for their area of the state, I'm learning about what we can do better to get tourists to go to their city or their town. And it's been more of a learning tour to learn what we can do, and all the great ideas that we're coming up with, the ambassador program, the foundation, comes from those people. So if you're willing to listen and take those things that'll work and put them to work, we can do great things in the state.
You and I visited a little bit before we started taping today, and as I was doing research to prepare to talk to you, talking to folks around the state, the feedback on your engagement and your passion and how quickly you're learning these things has been really good. I know that has to please you.
It does. I tell you, it's been a learning curve, but there's great people in the tourism industry. When I traveled to Canada with 28 tourism folks around the state, and the plan was for me to get up and give a boring speech. Well, I let each one of them get up and speak, and I saw that love and passion they had. But as they spoke, I went to the tables and spoke to the tour operators, and I said, why do you send people to Louisiana? Well, it was the food and the music, but overwhelming. Each one of them had a story about how special we treat people. And he says, the people of Louisiana treat you like family.
Right.
Nowhere else in the world we send people or people treated that way. And that made me so proud of our state and our people, that our greatest asset in tourism is the people and the way we treat people.
Well, that's a perfect segue to the next topic that I wanted to get in, and that is how special Louisiana is and how different and unique it is culturally and what draws people here. This is the 4th year of this television show, and almost no episode goes by that we don't talk about the uniqueness of our state culturally, diversity. We sit at the mouth of the greatest economic transportation artery in the world. We've got the great city of New Orleans and all it represents. It hosted the NBA All-Star game a week or so ago. Great place. So you mentioned about the people, but talk about how special this place is and what it means to tourism officials.
Every corner of this state has something unique and special, and every time we're able to get people outside of those big cities to Avery Island or Poverty Point or the Bentley Hotel in Alexandria to see all these unique, special places and the special people in those areas. I was the king of the ball, first Mardi Gras parade this weekend, and just to see all—
Ball, Louisiana.
Ball, Louisiana, yeah.
Right.
So, but that's where our challenge is with limited money to promote Louisiana. How do we expose all these great places to the rest of the world? And that's when we came up with this hashtag Only Louisiana, an ambassador program. And we've had over 1,000 people, I believe, sign up already. Talk about your unique thing in your area, experience, video, photography, and tell us why people should come there. And we're going to share those with the world. And I think this program will help us get rid of the Gothic jail there.
Right.
All these neat things in every little town. It'll give us an opportunity to share those places, those things, and experiences with the world through this ambassador program. So we're really excited about kicking that off.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that ambassador program a little bit later in the show. Got about a minute left in this segment. So let's talk about those hidden gems in our state, right? Everybody knows about New Orleans. Most people know about Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Alexandria, even Natchitoches. Festival of Lights and all of the things that go on there. But the Balls and the DeRitters and the Villeplats and the Mamous and all of these little towns have something special. I live in St. Gabriel, got beautiful churches there. So talk about those hidden gems and how critically important they are to the industry.
As you see these more international travelers come, and now with 2 direct flights into New Orleans, and they're going to be taking bus tours or renting cars and venturing out from New Orleans, those towns, those special places are critical to getting people to move around Louisiana. The international visitor stays longer and spends more money. Places like Avery Island, where they've made the Tabasco sauce for over 100 years.
Right.
And since they've opened a new restaurant there and a new museum. It's incredible to see. But the museums, the Waterworks Museum up in Shreveport, there's so many unique things in Arcadis, where Bonnie and Clyde was shot. They got a little museum there. It's worth going to see. I'll be up there Thursday, I believe, speaking to the chamber. But there's so many unique towns all across the state, and they all have something to add.
We're going to take a break. We come back, we're going to get into the industry, the business of tourism in Louisiana. We're visiting with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Consumers and property owners with construction projects can have a successful result or regretful experiences that could have been avoided. Before any construction project, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers will claim to be insured or bonded, so always check first. Download our app, LA Contractor, from the Android or Apple Store. Visit our website, lacontractor.org, or contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. We're here to help before things go wrong. Hire a licensed contractor. It's the law.
What if I said that the American dream is alive and well, and that it exists for anyone willing to build it? That the power of a nation does not reside in its monuments, but in the hearts and minds of those who built them, and that the country's greatest heroes also wear hard hats. In today's America, it's not enough to dream about the future. You have to build it. Build your future at byf.org.
For more than 20 years, the TJC Group has been helping companies assess their training needs and to develop programs that improve the effectiveness and productivity of their teams.
Training doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. Let us put our experience and expertise to work for you.
The TJC Group, facilitating solutions for business and industry.
Spadel's Florist was founded over 30 years ago. From my mom's kitchen, we have grown into one of the largest florists in this area. There's a sense in our community that you stick together, good times or bad, and oil and gas is part of that family. They're my neighbors, they're my customers, they're the person I'm sitting next to at church. If oil and gas is doing well, all of our businesses are doing well. We are Louisiana Oil and Gas.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is our guest. Tourism industry, critical economic impact in our state, a lot of jobs, a lot of tax revenue. Let's talk about the numbers because they're significant.
Yeah, well, we don't have 2016 numbers yet, but 2015, 28.9 million visitors visited Louisiana. They spent $11.5 billion.
With a B, $11.5 billion in our state.
And that's a little over $800 million in taxes you and I didn't have to pay. That's about a 38-to-1 return on investment. For every dollar we spend in tourism, we enjoy a $38 return. That's incredible.
Right.
And it's clean energy, it's a clean business, and it's the trickle-down effect to every restaurant, every mom and pop bed and breakfast, every swamp tour, every fishing charter. It's just incredible. And look, I said it when I campaigned around the state, 38-to-1. Until I lived it as lieutenant governor, I didn't realize the importance it has in every community, both in the big cities and the small towns. It is vitally important to the economy there.
Well, you think about an $800 million tax revenue generator. I can't think of many single industries that will do that for the state of Louisiana. You think about manufacturing, maybe petrochemicals and some different things, but $800 million in state and local tax revenue is a significant impact. And it appears, at least to me, that a lot of times from a legislative perspective, tourism can be taken for granted.
It really can. I tell you, my predecessor, Jay, had done a phenomenal job, 3 years in a row, record-setting numbers. Hopefully we can continue that. But as the budget continues to get cut, it's difficult. The lieutenant governor's budget has been cut over 50% in the last 10 years, eliminated 250 jobs in the industry. 54 million in the past administration swept from state parks. It's hard to stay operating and juggle the balls with so many cuts and realizing everybody's got to take a little cut this year. but we're at the point now where they're juggling. We're going to start dropping some balls.
You're certainly cutting on bone now at this point, right? So what's your conversations? What are your conversations like with legislators? What do you tell them? What's your message? And what kind of response do you get, Governor?
Well, you know, when you're talking about education, health care, roads and bridges, where do you fit tourism in? So even in my first budget cuts, when I went through the halls at the Capitol to go give my testimony, I was pumped up to defend it. Well, when I walked by children in wheelchairs, it took all the wind out of my sails. I sat there and accepted my first round of budget cuts last year gracefully. Well, I shouldn't have, because then they cut my budget more. But we realized we got to do more with less. And thanks to the governor and the legislators we spoke to, we're going to ask them to let us form a Cultural, Recreation, Tourism Foundation this year. And we're going to take all these great assets, like 500 acres on Lake Pontchartrain, get someone to build a conference center there. In West Virginia, they did that in a state park. It brought in $50 million. We own a building in the middle of the French Quarter where we store art. We don't need to store art in the French Quarter. So we're going to use some of these assets to make money. So these arts programs, the museums that need repairs, they will be a priority under this foundation, and we won't have to go back to taxpayers to get money. We'll use those assets to make money.
The individual tourism players out there are pretty entrepreneurial, but what you're saying now is that the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Office of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism, needs to be more entrepreneurial in the way it approaches what you're doing, and that's I think, where you're headed.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure in these state parks, whether it's a water slide or stables renting out horses, that we use local entrepreneurs to partner with us to do things. In Alabama, they put zip lines in the state parks, brought in $500,000. So if it makes good sense for tourism, for the local economy, and safe, we're looking for partners to do these things at all of our state parks.
You have great relationships with organizations across the state, like the Louisiana Travel Promotion Association, like Visit Baton Rouge, like the Greater New Orleans Convention and Visitors Bureau. Talk about those relationships and how important they are to the overall industry and your path forward.
The Tourism Promotion Group, we could not do it without them. That is the backbone of the tourism industry. Those are the men and women across the state that have a love and passion for that industry, and through that partnership, both on our foreign trips, on our what to do next in Louisiana, and actually the ambassador program, and the idea of staycation at home, of getting people to move around Louisiana and stay here and spend that money instead of jumping in your car and going to the Gulf Coast, came from those members. So I've heard them loud and clear, and we're putting those plans together to actually market vacation right here at home. Spend a weekend in North Louisiana, go down to Avery Island, go see Poverty Point, that World Heritage Site, and we're going to do some of that in-state promotion thanks to the help of those great men and women in that organization. That is the backbone of the tourism industry, and we couldn't do it without them.
This whole idea of, and we've got about a minute left in this segment, but this whole idea of marketing Louisiana and marketing the tourism opportunities here. I want to talk a little bit more in the next segment about Only Louisiana and that process, but making our citizens and our legislators and our governor, who I think probably understands this pretty well, that these marketing dollars and this huge return on investment, you mentioned it, it's 30+ to 1 or something like that. 38 to 1. Really critical for us going forward. I know that will be really the centerpiece of your message for the upcoming legislative session as well.
Absolutely. You know, you've got to have those reoccurring hotel, motel dollars for the tourism industry. The minute you take that away, or you talk about taking it away, you can't plan. We plan a year, 2 years down the road. Where are we going to go? What we're going to do? What foreign markets are best, have the best appetite to visit Louisiana? What other states and cities around the United States that we can pull those people? And it's a science, it's a planning, and without the partnership of the local groups, if you look at our budget compared to other states, you know, about $25 million in tourism money here. In Florida, it's $250 million.
Unbelievable.
So without the local partnerships with the state, it just doesn't work. And so those hotel motel taxes are vital to the survival of the state tourism marketing plan.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Let's talk about the future, where we're headed with the tourism industry in Louisiana. We're visiting with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
For over a quarter century, Kelly's has operated with honesty, integrity, and above all, safety. Kelly's features a fleet of quality equipment operated by dedicated, safety-minded employees skilled in land clearing, above-ground right-of-way maintenance, vegetation control, station yard and manned facility maintenance, above-ground pipeline support, and more. Kelly's Industrial Services, where pipeline right-of-way maintenance gets done right.
For more than 25 years, the TJC Group has been helping industry communicate and build relationships with communities, elected officials, and governmental agencies. We are the leading firm in the U.S. for the development, management, and facilitation of industry-based community advisory panels.
Whether you're building a new facility or you manage an existing business, let us put our community and governmental relations experience to work for you.
The TJC Group, facilitating solutions for business and industry.
What if I said that whatever good things you build you? And that in this economy, sweat never loses its value? What if I said that there isn't a challenge in the world too great for a craft professional with the right tools? And that the steps that lead from where you are to where you want to be can only be built by you. Build your future at byf.org.
Keene Miller traces its roots to the dawn of the petrochemical industry in Louisiana. As the legal needs of the sector grew, our firm emerged as a leader in environmental law, economic development, real estate, employment, utilities regulations, and more. Today, these same clients and those new to our state continue to rely upon the firm and its attorneys for creative ideas, practical advice, and Louisiana know-how. Industrial strength law. Learn more at KeeneMiller.com.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Having a great conversation with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. You mentioned during the break that this is the 100th anniversary of our national park system, and you guys are going to be doing something here in the state pretty unique to tie into that celebration.
Right. The federal government's going to spend a lot of our money marketing, trying to get you to see the great outdoors of America for this 100th anniversary. We thought, what better time? There's no better time than to highlight the great outdoors of Louisiana. We are the sportsman's paradise. So we're going to market, we know the food and the music and the culture and the history, so we're going to tie the great outdoors to all of those wonderful things.
The sportsman's paradise. Right?
Absolutely. Where else can you catch a redfish in the morning and a pair of Mardi Gras beads at night?
How about that?
Or a canoe down a bayou and go slip down a dozen raw oysters. So we're going to tie all the unique things to do with the great outdoors as people go to see the great outdoors, encouraged by all this promotion on the national park they'll be doing this year.
Again, it's a smart business move as well, because you leverage these marketing dollars that you might not otherwise have, that the federal government's going to be spending to promote things that are possible in our state.
They're expecting the camper sales and to go up with this great promotion. Mm-hmm. So why not piggyback on that, talk about our state parks and all the great outdoors in Louisiana. We like to say you can fish anywhere, but you catch fish in Louisiana.
That's right. That's right. It's the difference between fishing and catching, right?
That's right.
You know, one of the things that always amazes me is how well we do given the investment that we make. Now, you mentioned Florida invests $250 million a year in promoting tourism in their state compared to $25 million that we invest here. But even so, we do a lot of things right in tourism here. Talk about some of those things that we get right, Governor.
Well, I tell you, the partnership between all of the convention visitor bureaus, like we do with Baton Rouge, with New Orleans, and with all of them across the state, without that partnership, their money and our money put together to get the most bang for our buck. We just recently got back from France, where we had 20 plus CBVs. I couldn't have made that trip. We couldn't have justified going without those partners, and those partners that have that passion to sell Louisiana.
Right.
Meeting with those tour operators and those travel agencies and those bloggers over there, to see that team work the room is something amazing. And so without that partnership, we couldn't do it without them, and that's why it's so important that we continue to educate the legislators on the importance of those tourism dollars that flow to the tourism office.
Well, and it also speaks to what you mentioned before, this Only Louisiana campaign, and getting these local folks, regular citizens in our state, to be our best spokespeople.
I tell you, I went to cut a ribbon at the DeRidder Gothic Jail, the last hanging in Louisiana. Incredible place. Since we posted those pictures, those people have told us people have flocked over there to see that jail. We can't afford to spend tourism dollars on every little place to see. But by signing up to louisianatravel.com/ambassador, you can promote your own town, your own area, and help us sell all those unique things to the world. And that's where we're talking about leveraging those tourism dollars by signing up Louisianans who love and know those stories better than anyone, how to sell Louisiana, help us sell our state to the world.
It really is a unique and pretty smart effort. Let's talk briefly about how other elements of state government impact the tourism industry. You think about education and training, you think about economic development, you think about infrastructure development and maintenance and public safety. All of those have an impact on tourism as well. Talk briefly about that.
Well, I'm very encouraged to hear the legislator and the governor talking about the infrastructure package. So crucial. We don't have to talk about the traffic problems in Baton Rouge, the gridlock. When you're moving tourists around this state, trying to get them from one city to another on a bus tour on a limited time basis, it's almost impossible to plan that with the gridlock on tourism. So you've got to plan around that. And so as we improve the infrastructure and the traffic problems in our major cities, it's going to help us move more tourists around the state to get them to those outlying areas, to bring more economic growth to those areas. You know, the historical tax credit, the Main Street program, all of those programs have really helped all these small towns come back, rebirth. And at a time when they're being scaled back and not funded to the extent they were, we're worried about the continued growth of these areas that have seen towns turned around by those programs that have been so great to the redevelopment of those small town areas.
30 seconds left. What's on the horizon for the tourism industry in Louisiana?
Well, we're very excited about the 300th anniversary of New Orleans. We're excited about all the WrestleMania coming to New Orleans. I didn't know who Gravedigger was, but I do now. But that's a Super Bowl.
NBA All-Star Game a week or so ago, huge event.
And we have a New Year's Eve now where when they finish watching the ball drop in New York, they turn to New Orleans and they watch Louisiana for an hour. That's millions of people that we couldn't buy that entertainment. So a lot of great things, great people. I've got the best job in the world.
It really is a lot of fun. Mardi Gras coming up. I know you're excited about all of that. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, thank you for your time today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for the great work you're doing as well.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Hey guys, be sure to check out our new LBIS website, www.louisianabusinessandindustryshow.com.